Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Joseph D'Amico. I'm Superintendent of the New York State Police. I'd like to thank all of you for coming today. Governor Andrew Cuomo has proven that keeping motorists and pedestrians safe on New York's roadways is one of his top priorities. Just a few weeks ago, he directed the DMV to raise the penalty for texting while driving from 3 to 5 points. And 2 days ago, the governor signed a new law with strengthened penalties for texting while driving for our young and our new drivers. This new law brings the penalties for probationary and junior license holders who text and drive in line with the penalties for our most serious offenses, including speeding and reckless driving. All drivers, and particularly our younger drivers, need to realize that the road is no place for this dangerous habit, and that the penalties for breaking the law are serious. With these new laws and regulation in place, it's now our turn as law enforcement to step up our enforcement efforts. This afternoon, we're announcing that in addition to our ongoing traffic safety efforts, the governor has directed additional funding to the state police to focus on texting and distracted driving. The state police will have a visibly increased presence on the road with more troopers patrolling our roadways in marked vehicles, and to specifically combat texting and cell phone use, a less obvious presence through the use of unmarked vehicles like the SUVs you see behind me. These vehicles have proven to be an extremely effective law enforcement tool in identifying drivers who are illegally using handheld devices while behind the wheel. They have a much higher platform than your average car, and it allows our troopers to be able to observe drivers and violations more discreetly. And as you can see, there's no exterior markings. We have several of these on the road. They come in a variety of colors that help them blend in with the rest of traffic, and all are equipped with hidden high-intensity emergency lighting, so they're fully equipped and functioning police vehicles. We found them to be very effective. And with the July 4th holiday fast approaching, many more motorists will be taking to New York's roadways, and the chance for accidents and injuries will surely rise. The state police will be conducting additional checkpoints and will be stepping up our enforcement for the traditional hazards, including impaired driving, seat belts, child safety restraints, speeding, and underage drinking. This increased enforcement will provide additional protection for motorists and help prevent avoidable accidents from happening. Vehicle, motorcycle, and pedestrian safety is and always will be a state police priority. Thank you, and now I'd like to welcome the Governor of New York State, Andrew M. Cuomo.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to Superintendent Joseph D'Amico and the New York State Police, who do a great job every day. Why don't we give them a round of applause? Today's message is simple but important. Distracted driving kills, period. Distracted driving kills, and it's getting worse. When you look at the statistics on fatalities and injuries, over the past 10 years, 5 times more fatalities and injuries from distracted driving than drunk driving. That would be unheard of. We have a lot of young people today. 43% of teenagers say that they use their cell phone or text while they drive. 43% admit it. And my guess is some of the others also do it but don't want to admit it. You know, it's simple. This device can email, it can text, it can take pictures, and it can be dangerous. It can hurt you, it can hurt other people. Now, it has become such a part of our behavior to use the device. Cell phone texting, especially young people, it's almost cultural now. It has to stop when you get in the car. It has to stop when you get in the car. And we have to change the behavior pattern that has people using that all the time. How do you change the behavior pattern? Part of it is education, events like this. Part of it is peer-to-peer. And part of it is enforcement. Pass a law that says it is illegal, and then enforce the law. Enforcement works. It's not pleasant, but enforcement works. How do we know it works? Seat belts and drunk driving. Drunk driving at one time was much, much more common than it is today. Just from a behavior point of view. People were very accustomed to going to dinner, having a few glasses of wine, getting in the car and driving home. People were accustomed to going out on a Friday or a Saturday night, and they would go to a nightclub, they would go to a bar, they'd have a few drinks, and they would drive home. That was the culture. That's what people did. That's what generations of people did. And we said, well, that doesn't make sense. It's too many fatalities, too many injuries. We passed the law, and then you had to enforce the law to change the behavior. Seatbelts was the same thing. Nobody wore seatbelts. Very few people wore seatbelts. New York passed the first seatbelt law in the nation. I remember my father passed it. And there was an uproar when the seatbelt law passed. How can you do that? You're imprisoning us in the car. I can't breathe when I have the seatbelt on. I feel claustrophobic. It wrinkles my suit, my dress gets wrinkled by the seat. It was every kind of, it's an explosion. What happens if I drive off the road into a river and I can't get out as the car is sinking because I have the seatbelt on? I remember having these discussions with people. Now the behavior is the exact opposite. People get in the car, click, right away. We've just literally changed the culture, changed the behavior pattern, and a big part of that was enforcement. We have changed the laws when it comes to texting while driving. We've changed the laws where it's now 5 points as a primary offense. 5 points on your license. 5 points is a lot of points. It can make a real difference on insurance. If you have other tickets, it could take you to the point where you actually lose your license. So 5 points is a significant, more than significant penalty. We've also changed the law so that young drivers who are on probation will have a suspended license if they get caught, because we want to nip that in the bud early. Young driver who starts, who might be using it. But the laws are only as good as the enforcement. And a law on the books is nice, but it doesn't matter unless it's enforced. And we have to enforce this law. I can tell you it is flagrantly violated. I had this discussion with one of my daughters, who shall go nameless, so she can be anonymous, because I have 3. You won't know which one it is. But I was talking to one of my daughters about this, who's a new driver. She is a texting fiend, because that's what we do. And I was talking to her about this, and she said, "Oh, you know, Dad, everybody does it." I said, "Well, it's against the law." She said, "Yes, but everybody does it." And first of all, everybody does it doesn't make it right. But there's a grain of truth in there. We have the law is frequently violated. Because we're just at that beginning phase where the law is on the books and we're still trying to change behavior. What we're announcing today is the state police are announcing a statewide crackdown on distracted driving using the device while you are driving, texting while driving. And it's going to be a very effective crackdown. It's not just going to be more state police time and attention to this topic, but it's going to be with new means, unmarked vehicles, different types of equipment. So it's going to be a very effective crackdown. We have the new law, and now we have a new crackdown, and it starts this weekend, July 4th. Why? Summertime, a lot of young people are coming home. They're on the road now, back from school. People are starting to drive, travel. Roads get busier during the summer, and the crackdown is going to start this July 4th. It's not a necessarily pleasant topic, but it is a very important topic. I believe if we do this right, the same way we can look back now and say, I can't believe people never wore a seatbelt. I can't believe that. It's a foreign concept now to think that people wouldn't get that. If we do this right, and we're diligent, we'll change the behavior on these devices. And we'll get to a point a few years from now where we say, I can't believe somebody would think about texting while driving. How crazy an idea is that? Because it is just that. It is a crazy idea. And if we do what we have to do, one day we'll get to the point where society understands that as commonplace. And in the meantime, we will have saved lives. That's what this is about. It is saving lives. When I say that device is dangerous, that device, when misused, can kill you or can kill someone else. On this issue, I've met people, I've met parents who have lost family members because people have texted at the wrong time. So the state police are going to be watching the road even when you're not, and especially when you're not. And I think this crackdown in the long run, we'll be able to look back and say, we made this place a better place, and society learned to help one another, and we learned an important lesson. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for sharing this message. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I just want to thank you for coming. This concludes our program. Please get home safely.